failures aren't created equal. Some of them cost more than others. You got like double-figure failures, like forgetting to cancel a subscription. You know, it was a 7-day free trial, and then that 9th day came, there go $15.99. You can come back from that, okay? You can win. As a failure, you can rebound from a $15.99. But then there are some failures that will cost you hundreds of dollars. Go to Target without a budget. Go in to get some eggs, come out with a couch. You're like, how did this happen? The more expensive the failure, the less likely you are to repeat it. A 6-figure failure, you're like, oh, we're not doing that again. No. Here's what I have to encourage every single leader to do. You want to fail as early as you can and as cheap as you can, okay?
At the gym, they say the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. And so I go to the gym every single day. Here's what that means. Sometimes I just go to the parking lot and I just park there and I watch other people go in the gym. I'm at the gym. I could be on the phone. Where you at? I'm at the gym. I'm not lying. I'm watching other people be awesome. But here's what I learned from going to the gym every day. Every now and then I actually go into the gym. And then I just meander. That's my workout plan. I be walking around. What you into, man? What's going on over here, man? That's awesome. I go in the steam room, look like I'm sweating, be walking around like, man, you putting in the work today? I'm like, it is what it is. And so I lost 30 pounds last year from just being in the right environment. Sometimes it's about putting yourself in the position to be successful more than it is about like trying to be successful. I feel like I am the product of the environments that I have put myself in. And there's some environments that are toxic that I choose to stay away from.
I'll never forget the first time a Fortune 100 company asked me to speak to their board. They say, hey, you're speaking at our company, but our board's in town a little bit early. Will you meet with our board? And I said, yeah, because I do that all the time. So, yeah, that's not a problem. Sure. So when I meet with them, what would you like me to do? They're like, man, just do what you always do, man. This is your lane. I'm like, right. Yeah, this is my lane, you know? And so I literally had no earthly idea what I was just walking around. Hey, what's your name? I'm asking about their kids. I'm just trying to fill the time as quick as I possibly can. And before I knew it, they go, man, this was a powerful time. I went, yeah, because this is what I always do, you know? It's like, this is how it always goes with these kinds of things, guys. That's why I'm here, you know? This is why they pay me, you know? It is what it is. Like, no, like sometimes you have it figured out. Sometimes you figure it out. You gotta ask yourself, are you willing to even step into the room? Or are you just so afraid to fail that you actually won't even try anything new?
I don't know if you knew this, but you were not born with resilience. You gotta learn that. And the only way you can learn resilience is through experience of setbacks. The only way you can learn the skill of resilience is through failure. It's trial by fire. And so I've got to encourage you to be the kind of person that's willing to embrace new ways of doing just about everything. Failure is designed to get you to give up. Failure is designed to get you to shrink back. But every single time you take a step forward, every single time you get in a little tussle, maybe a little email argument, maybe you get put on a reply all and somebody trying to put all your business out there for everybody else to see. Every single time that happens and you decide to go forward anyways, you become a more resilient person.
In the end, your greatest risk will not be a failed experiment or a momentary setback. In the end, what could happen in your life is you can look back on your career and realize you never pushed past the familiar. You never looked beyond the traditional. You never pushed the limits of what you can achieve and who you could become because you decided to settle for the status quo when you could have decided to raise the bar. Can I be your best friend for just a moment? Come close. You're better than that. And you know it. Today, I am giving you permission to enjoy your life. Did you know that enjoyment does not come from circumstances? Your level of enjoyment is determined by your level of gratitude. And the more grateful you are, the more you're going to be able to enjoy your life. Listen, you might not have an ideal boss, but it's the boss you got. And as awesome as they aren't, do you know how many people wish they had a boss right now? Be grateful for the boss you got. Your spouse might be driving you crazy right now. Be grateful that you have a spouse to fight with. Trust me, I know a lot of people that wish that their spouse was alive to fight with right now. So call them back and go, we're going to fight some more tonight, and I can't wait because I love you. Your kids might be driving you crazy. You are one trip from the children's hospital from seeing it completely different. Don't wait for the trip. Hold them tight. You and I have to be grateful for what we have, and we have to be grateful for who we have. Some people think, man, I don't know how we're going to get through this. I don't know how we're going to get through this. I don't know how we're going to get through this. And I just like to go, well, how did you get through the last thing? How'd you get through 2020? How'd you get through 2021? You're stronger than you think you are. So if we can look at past failures, if we can look at past resistance, if we can look at past challenges and go, you know what, if I had enough strength to get through that, well then don't I have enough strength to get through this? I am a failure enthusiast. If you haven't failed lately, call me. I will teach you how to fail at the highest level because I want you to fail, because I want you to learn. My son, he took a game-winning shot the other day. They were down 2. He could have got a layup, but he took a 3. It was the first three-pointer he had ever taken in his life. And I'm thinking, what in the world are you doing? And it goes in and rolls out, and he's bawling his eyes out, and I rush the court like it was March Madness, and I pick him up. I'm like, this is awesome! All the parents are like, your kid lost. I'm like, no, he didn't. He's willing to take shots that most kids would never take. My son's brave. We celebrate failure in our house.
Y'all doing all right? Yes? Good, good. Who's hungry? I'm hungry for knowledge. That's like the best answer ever. Anybody hungry to grow? Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I was in personal growth today. My bad. It's my fault. I said, anybody hungry to grow? Okay, that was a good 30%. I said, anybody hungry to grow? Okay, we're getting there, and you're definitely gonna grow from our friend that's about to join the stage right now. I know you've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it all week, and I'm super excited. I want you to get out your notepads, get your phone out, get ready to take some notes. You know, he's one of the most difficult persons to take notes with because everything he says is good, okay? There's no fluff, it's everything. You're writing verbatim pretty much. But get out your notepads. You still have time to text your friend that's in the bathroom, say, hurry up, girl, okay? Come on, bro, let's get to it right now. But you're gonna learn a little bit more about our friend, and I hope you're excited. When the video ends, you get up, you stand, you shout for our founder, John C. Maxwell. Come on.
Born in Garden City, Michigan, to a family who valued leading well, one man redefined leadership for an entire generation. John C. Maxwell, named the #1 leader in business by the American Management Association and the world's most influential leadership expert by Business Insider and Inc. magazine. As a #1 New York Times best-selling author, John Maxwell has written over 70 books on leadership that have sold more than 36 million copies. Dr. Maxwell speaks each year to Fortune 500 companies, presidents of nations, and many of the world's top business leaders. In addition to receiving the Mother Teresa Prize for Global Peace, John's network of organizations has trained over 6 million leaders from every nation on the planet. His life's work is to bring transformation to lives everywhere by adding value to people. Please welcome Dr. John C. Maxwell.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Thank you so very much. Oh, I love you too. My name is John, and I'm your friend. It's so good to have you here with us on Grow Day. I'm so excited about you being here. I'm so excited about us having time together to learn how to develop ourselves. And, you know, the reason we want to grow ourselves is because as we grow ourselves, we have then potential to grow others. You cannot give what you do not have. And so when people begin to invest in themselves, it's not selfish. It's smart, because what happens at that point is when we invest in ourselves, we have something to give people. And we have a great passion, you know, in the entire John Maxwell enterprise, we have a great passion to help you succeed. In fact, I had somebody the other day come up to me, and they said something, and I thought, what a nice compliment. They said, John, you have become very successful helping people become very successful. And I thought, well, yeah, that is what I do. That's what I want for you. I want every one of you that are at the Grow Conference. I want you to get better because you spent this time with us. And we're really committed. And also for our friends online. You know, we have, I think, 1,000 people online with us today. Let's give our online people a great hand. We're just delighted to have you with us also and spend this day just growing together. So look at your neighbor and say, you're going to grow today. Just tell them that. You're going to grow today. In fact, look right back at them and say, why do you think I brought you here? It's no secret. I want you to get better. We all want to get better. I want to grow. We all want to develop, and we really want to reach our potential. So I'm going to talk to you on the same subject twice, a part one and part two. This is part one. But I'm going to talk to you today on the potential question. And the potential question is very simple. The potential question asks, how far can I go? What's my potential? What's capacity for me? What's the limit? I learned about the potential question when I was in my 20s, and I heard Earl Nightingale say that if we would spend 1 hour a day every day on the same subject for 5 years, we could become an expert on the subject. And at that time, I was becoming very passionate about leadership because I had come to the conclusion that everything rises and falls on leadership. And when I heard him say that if I would spend 1 hour a day every day on the subject of leadership, that in 5 years I could become an expert on leadership, I decided to take up that challenge. And so for every day, for 5 years, I gave myself to leadership. I read leadership material, I talked to leaders, I practiced leadership, I asked leadership questions every day, an hour on leadership, because I was passionate. And Earl Nightingale said if I did that for 5 years, an hour every day, I could become an expert on it. And I thought I would love to be an expert on leadership. And so I started my personal growth as a countdown. I mean, Earl Nightingale said 5 years. So I thought, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, call me Mr. Cape Canaveral. And so I started the whole process as, well, this will take 5 years, I'll become an expert on leadership. So every day, I did it every day. I was very consistent, an hour every day, leadership. And I kept asking myself the question, how long will it take? Well, how long will it take? And after year 1, how long will it take? Year 2, how long will it take? Well, it's going to take 5 years. Well, now it's going to take 4 years. How long will it take? 3 years. And I'm in this countdown mode, and I'm halfway through the 5-year project of 1 hour every day on leadership. And one day I realized something that was quite beautiful about growth. As you begin to be committed to personal development and growth in your life, you don't sense growth every day the same way. You go days where you really don't even sense much growth at all. You're in the game, but you really don't sense whether you're kind of winning or losing the game. You're just in the game. And what I learned in this process of the 5 years trying to become a leadership expert is that our growth is stored up before it shows up. Yeah, you can start taking notes. Game on right now. And so there was a lot of storing up as I was thinking leadership, talking leadership, asking questions about leadership, practicing leadership. There was a lot of storing up that wasn't showing up, and I thought, well, I'm in the game, and I'm doing what Earl Nightingale said, and he said in 5 years I could become an expert. But about halfway through that 5-year period, all of a sudden, leadership began to show up in my life. I felt my influence grow. I watched people want to be on my team. I began to see that I had the ability to motivate people and move them from one point to another point. And all of a sudden, the fruit of the commitment to grow began to show up in my life. And the moment that my growth in leadership began to show up, I quit asking the question, how long will it take? Don't miss this. And I started asking the question, how far can I go? And I have been asking the question, how far can I go, for 50 years? In fact, today, I'm still asking myself the question, how far can I go? I don't know. I really don't know. I've not yet gotten to my finish line. I've not yet reached my potential. I'm still learning. I'm still developing. I'm still curious. I'm still practicing. I'm still growing. I don't know how far I can go. I really don't know. You would think after 50 years asking the same question, you'd have an answer. But the potential question, if you grow all the time, has only one answer for you. You'll never know. For people that grow every day, there is no finish line. Now, there are a lot of people that have finish lines in their life. There are people that say, when I get to a certain age, I'll retire. When I make a certain amount of money, I won't do any more work. And they put these self-imposed finish lines in their life. And what I want you to know is very simple. If you put a self-imposed finish line in your life, and when you cross that self-imposed finish line, guess what? You're finished. And I know a whole bunch of people, they're finished. I mean, game over. I mean, they're still alive, but they're finished. Do you know what I'm talking about? I mean, I know some people, they're still alive, but they're finished. I mean, it's like they're dead. They just haven't made it official. My father's 95. He's 95. We're having lunch, and he looks at me and says, John, he said, I think my best days are still ahead. He's 95. I know people 25 that can't say that. I want to appeal to you today as your friend to be committed to your potential path and begin to understand that once you make this commitment to grow every day and to grow intentionally and grow specifically in areas that are going to have the right return to you based on your calling and your giftedness, I just want to share with you that it begins to be absolutely amazing what you can accomplish. One of the things I teach is that consistency compounds. It does. And I watch people really grow in their life, and then they get to a certain age and they stop. And I look at them and I say, you were just about to have payoff, and you quit. Tyler Perry and I were having that discussion one day. And he was telling me about, of course, he's in the movie business, and an actor, producer, the director, the whole deal. He's phenomenal. And he was saying, John, I built a studio, and we outgrew it. So I built another studio. We outgrew it. I built a third studio, and we outgrew it. And he said, I was tired of building studios. So I said, I'm not going to do any more of that. Good Lord, I'm worn out. Every time I just keep building studios. And so he said, for 3 years, I didn't build a studio. And he said, I saw everything go flat. He said, I stopped making a commitment to expand and grow. And he said, I couldn't hire any more people. I couldn't do more projects that I wanted to get to. He said, finally, I realized I had to go build another studio. So he went and bought a whole bunch of land. He built another big studio. And he talked about how rewarding it was now that he paid that price and he kept growing and he didn't have a finish line and he didn't stop. And when he finished talking to me, I said, Tyler, what you've just told me is something very simple. Don't miss this. What you've told me, Tyler, is that when you can afford to quit, you can't afford to quit. Yeah, start writing. He was at the compounding time of his life, and he thought about quitting. I don't know if there's anything more sad than quitting when you're just about ready to get good. And by the way, when you quit at that age, when you quit at that compounding time of your life, you never know what you lost because you quit. You never know the amazing things that would happen. But you quit. Honestly, if you just kind of want to quit, my name's John, I'm your friend. Let me suggest something. If you're going to quit the first day. Come on. I'm here to help you. Quit the first day. You've not invested anything. You've not built anything. You haven't got anything compounded. Quit the first day. And by the way, nobody will miss you anyway. I was speaking to a company recently they're just doing very well and they're growing, but in their fast growth, in their amazing growth, the CEO and the founder of the company told me, he said, John, he said, we're having a tendency now, we're really getting successful. And he says, I see we're beginning to like success. And it's not healthy to like success. It's not healthy to all of a sudden think I've arrived. Liz did such a beautiful job with I love the 4 steps, but I loved how she turned that into a cycle today. That was huge. I hope you caught it. It's always taught in the steps. She changed it around totally with the cycle, which gave it incredible meaning. And he said, we're just kind of falling in love with how good we are. He said, could you kind of jolt us a little bit? I said, sure. So I went out and I spoke for an hour on, you did not come this far only to come this far. Your goal is not to arrive. Your goal is to grow and learn and be curious and keep expanding your life and developing yourself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about how you can continue and build a potential path for your life. How do I live a life that basically says, how far can I go? And it's never answered. It's out there. There is a finish line, but you never get to it. You don't want to get to the finish. In fact, look at your neighbor and say, you don't want to get to the finish line. Tell them that, right? You don't want to get to the finish line. All right. Look at him and say, when you get to the finish line, you're finished. Tell them that. You're finished. Come on. Help me out. Help me out. Tell them. That's it. Thank you. I just feel that when you said it to them, they really got it. When I said it, they thought about it. But when you said it, they got it. So you're going to have to help me. Every once in a while, I'm just going to have to help you. Ask you to help me. You understand? I'll teach you these principles. They're going to change your life. But then every once in a while, you're going to have to tell the person beside you, you follow me, so that they really get it. Because here's what I'm observing already as I'm talking to you. You're brilliant, you're hungry, you're smart, you're taking notes, you're amazing. But the person on your left is not as smart as you are. Honest to God, I can see it. I can see it right now. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Not only can I see it, you saw it, didn't you, huh? As soon as I said the person on your left's not as smart as you just looked at the person on your left, you went, yeah. John knows. So you have a responsibility. You're going to have to help that person. So look at him right now and say, it's okay, I'll help you. Tell him that, I'll help you. I'll help you. Thanks, you're helping me. The teaching's going to be good, but the teaching's going to really be good because you're helping me do the teaching. So you have to take good notes because you got to teach these notes to that person on the left. In fact, probably when it's done, you're going to have to give them the notes. You know what I'm saying? In fact, you're going to have to probably put it somewhere where they can remember to find it, okay? You're going to have to help them. Here we go. I'm going to start building this potential path for you. How far can I go? The way that I grow and develop my potential path, number one, is I am aware of what I call the 3 pillars of potential. Now, most of the things I'm going to teach you, I won't have to explain, but I'm going to have to explain this because there are 3 pillars that you build your potential on. In my book, No Limits, I teach these 3 pillars. And basically what I say, the thesis of the No Limits book is very simple. If you want to reach your potential, you have to grow in your awareness, you have to develop your strengths, and you have to make the right choices. Those are the 3 pillars. Awareness, the ability to grow and develop your strengths, and make the right choices. So let's just talk about them just very briefly because this is what I call the pillars or the foundation of you reaching your potential. And it begins always with awareness. In the laws of personal growth, in my 15 Laws book, what do I teach? You've got to know yourself to grow yourself. You're so good. Yes, you got to know yourself to grow yourself. If you don't know yourself, you can't grow yourself. I watch people all the time. They're not aware. They're not aware of what they do well. They're not aware of what they do badly. They lack awareness. I could still remember a few years ago, I took a group of leaders to San Francisco in an exchange event that I do every year, giving people leadership experiences. And one of our guest speakers was Liz Wiseman, who's just one of my favorite people, and she wrote a phenomenal book called Multipliers. If you don't have that book, you need to go get that book. And in the book on multipliers, Liz said something very interesting. She talked about how that the people that are multipliers have these following strengths. And she started to lay out these strengths of multipliers. And I'm loving the lecture because she's just talking about me. I mean, honest to God, she isn't trying to do that intentionally, but she's saying, if you're a multiplier, you're a pace setter. And I'm just saying, oh, that's so true. That's so true. I just gave myself a check mark, like 100%. She said, if you're a pace setter, you're an optimist. Oh, yes, that's so true. Just a pace. And I'm just checking them off. And by the time she's done with these multiplier tendencies, I'm just wanting to say, Liz, just put my picture on the book. Just stick my picture on the book. I've got this down. And I was feeling so good and quite Supermanish. And then she said, there's another side of the coin to the strengths of a multiplier that diminishes their leadership. And I thought, you could be going a little too far in your talk right now. Why don't you stay on that strength thing, that I was doing 100%. And then she said, for example, if you're a pace setter, you're not patient with people. And it has a diminishing return for them because you're out so far ahead of them that sometimes they can't follow you. And all of a sudden I thought, oh crap. All right, I don't do so well on that one. And she said, if you're an optimist, she said, you just want people to be so. She said, you don't listen to the struggles of people if you're an optimist. You just say, come on, get over it. Don't tell me about the pains. Just show me the baby. Show me the baby. Show me the baby. She said, that's diminishing. And I checked that one. And now everything she's saying certainly cannot be right. Because I'm just saying, this is terrible. I don't do this well. And oh my gosh, I had no clue I was this bad. And so then when she was done, I got my inner circle together. And I said, you're going to have to help me because she said, I've got a lot of diminishing tendencies as a leader that I just don't do well. And I said, what I would like you to do, let's look at the ones. I said, I really didn't do well on any of them. And then it bothered me a little bit when the whole inner circle looked at me and they nodded. So I said, you need to help me. I can't work on all of them at the same time, obviously. You got to pick one. So I said, let's pick like the worst of mine, and the one I need to work on the most. And it was very discouraging as they spent 30 minutes arguing over which one was the worst one, and one would throw it out. So, no, he's terrible there, but he's worse over here. And I'm just hanging in there, and they're having so much. You talk about a roast. They were roasting. They were cremating. They went way beyond roasting. They're howling. They're laughing. Now, let me just say something. You can't grow yourself if you don't know yourself. And so when people tell me, they say, well, I'm a very self-aware person, I just smile and say, what else do you do besides drugs? Because can I tell you something? I'm not self-aware. And neither are you. We all have blind spots in our life. And so I said, why are they called blind spots? Because we're blind to them. And the only way that I can become self-aware is have people walk into my life and help me see that weakness. And as a leader, one of the most important qualities we can have as leaders is the humility to ask our people, come and talk to me. Talk to me about the things that I really don't do well, the things that I need to work on, that I need to change. Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta, and I were playing golf the other day, and he was talking. He said, John, I'm always asking my inner circle every meeting, what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong, and what do I need to stop? And he said, they help me so much. Well, of course they help us. We help one another. We want to improve one another. And the point of one of the pillars of reaching your potential is a humility and awareness that I realize there are areas that I have to change. I have to work on them. But when I'm aware of myself, because others come into my life and help me, and when I develop my strengths, always develop your strengths. Don't work on your weaknesses, okay? You say, why shouldn't I work on your weaknesses? Because you're weak in your weaknesses. What part of this do you not understand? You're not any good. Find somebody that is and let them join the team. Let people complete you and compliment you. You got to have them around you. I've got people around me that are so much better in most of the areas that I am, and I depend on them. I rely on them. I need them. So you develop your strengths. You become aware of your weaknesses, and you make the right choices. You just make the right choices. I wrote a book several years ago called Talent is Never Enough, and the whole thesis of that book was no matter how much talent you have, it's not enough. You still got to make right choices. How many of you know talented people that don't go very far in life because they make stupid choices? Are you with me? How many of you know somebody just like that? Sure, we all do. Every hand's up. How many of you are sitting beside that person right now? Huh? So to get on your pathway potential, start with the 3 pillars. Awareness, developing strengths, right choices. That's foundational. That just gets you on a road that's going to take you to this place where there's really no finish line. So number 2, how do I continue to expand my path potential? The second thing I do is I continually, intentionally invest in my personal growth and development. I intentionally, every day, work on things that I need to develop and I need to grow in my life. I call them the everyday essentials. A lot of things aren't essential every day, but there are a few things that are essential for your success every day. And once you discover what those things are, you've got to work on them every day. I can still remember when I made the decision to become an author and write books. And the first decision I made when I made that is I've got to figure out what should I write on that would really help people grow and reach their potential. And for over a year, I asked that question: what should I write on? What should I speak on that'll help people really grow? Because you can't know everything. You don't want to know everything. Good Lord. I mean, we're not talking about just knowing a lot of stuff. We're talking about knowing things that really matter and then grow. It's kind of like I know what matters and then I grow in what matters. And what were they? And I came to the conclusion in my 20s that I would write my books basically in 5 areas. I would write books on communication. I'd write books on leadership. I'd write books on how to equip people. I'd write books on attitude development. And I'd write books on relationships. Why? Because no matter what your profession in life, you've got to learn how to communicate. My new book is here. It just came out. It's not going to be in bookstores until next week, but the 16 Laws of Communication book is here. It's here. I signed 2 days ago, yesterday. I signed 3,000 of them. Yeah, and the reason every one of you need to buy a box. You understand that box? Because you not only need to communicate, but how many of you have people around you that really desperately need to learn how to communicate, huh? You know what I'm talking about? This book is for them. You just say, hey, God answered my prayer here. In fact, we'll talk later about how to get in we're going to have a big book club with thousands of people. We're going to have so much fun. I'll tell you how to do that in a little bit. That's later. But this whole, I said, I got to teach people how to communicate. Warren Buffett says, if you want to increase your self-worth 50%, the most important skill in the world is learning how to communicate. He said, that's more important. I know he's known as the financial guru, but he didn't say knowing finances and trends of money are the most. He said, no, the ability to communicate your vision, the ability to communicate and connect with people until they get on your team, it's huge. So anyway, enough of that. So I said I'm going to write books on communication. Obviously, I write books on leadership. Why do I write books on equipping? Because it's the only way that you can compound your success. The only way that you can multiply is get other people to do what you're doing. So you got to equip people. Well, you got to have an attitude of tenacity to overcome difficulties, etc. And you got to be good with relationships. I mean, it's just important. I mean, hello. How many times do you see people in the people business and they're not any good with people? It just amazes me. They're in the people business, and I just look at them and say, oh my gosh, I want to take them to lunch. I want to buy their lunch. I want to lean into them and say, my name is John. I'm your friend. Nobody likes you. Because they're not likable. How many of you know somebody that's not likable? Talk to me, huh? Sure you know people. You're sitting beside them right now. And it just amazes me. You got to learn how to connect with people. You got to become a plus in people's lives. So I said, I'm going to write in those areas. Now, what am I talking? I'm talking about now personal growth. So I said, I'm going to personally grow, either in communication, leadership, equipping, attitude, and relationships. And because I'm a person of faith, what's more important than those 5 to me is my personal walk with God, faith. So I said, I'm going to excel in personal growth, in faith, communication, leadership, equipping, attitude, relationships. And I'm committed to it. And I've been doing it for over 50 years. And what's amazing, by the way, that 5-year thing that Earl Nightingale said you become an expert on, that's a lie. That was a trick. He tricked me. He got me on this path of leadership, and after 5 years, I wasn't an expert on leadership. After 50 years, I'm not an expert on leadership. I'm still not an expert on leadership. They just have told me in the last 6 months I've written more material on leadership than any person who's ever lived in the history of the world. And that's really when I got excited about it. And then I got excited. Just wait, that's all right. Don't do it. I got excited about it, and then I thought, oh, that's not very good. All that means is I'm old. You got to be old to be able to accomplish something like that. You know what I'm talking about? But this whole process of here's what I know. After 5 years, I didn't become an expert on leadership. After 50 years, I'm still not an expert on leadership, because let me explain to you how this works. The more you know, you don't know. And the more you know you don't know, you know there's more you need to know so that you can know more than you know. And if you don't know more than you know, you'll never know what you need to know to be an expert. But the knowing that, the more you know, the only people that think they're experts are people that don't know very much. Do you know what I'm talking about? You just look at them and say, really? Woo. He tricked me. He got me on this personal growth plan that I'm still in love with 50 years. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still asking questions. Now, old people, man, somebody asked me, how are you staying so young? You can't hang with old people. Honest to God, they're old. I don't know what to do. Oh, you know, old people, they don't ask questions. They lost their curiosity. Old people have lost their joy, excitement. And it's all because the day you stop growing, honestly, is the day you stop living. Oh, I know you're still alive, you're breathing, but I know a whole bunch of people, they're already dead, they just haven't made it official yet. You understand? And I watch them and I look at them and I say, oh, you know, I pastored for 25 years. Do you want me to do the committal for you? Wow. I still have learning lunches. I've had learning lunches now for 40 years. I just had a learning breakfast 2 days ago. I get with people bigger, better, faster, smarter than me. And I learn from them. I ask them questions, and I just keep growing. I keep learning from them. And I ask them 7 questions. I wish I had time to give you those 7. Gosh, they're life-changing. Oh, well. Oh, okay. I'm not doing it for you, but the person on your left. You follow me? Your person on your left, they need this. They need this. And the 7 questions is, what's the greatest lesson you ever learned in your life? Question number 2, what are you learning right now? I love that question. Every once in a while when I have a learning lunch and I ask a person what they're learning right now, they get stumped. And I realize I'm in trouble. I'm having lunch with somebody that learned something yesterday, but they haven't learned anything today. That's not a good sign. What are you learning right now? How has failure shaped your life? That's number 3. Who do you know that I should know? It's the greatest networking question in the world. What have you read that I should read? What have you done that I should do? And how can I serve you? Those are the 7 questions. If you didn't get all 7, it's okay. Ask the person on your right. They have all 7 written down, already have a game plan for you, okay? In fact, I would encourage you, if you need to ask the person on your right, why don't you start with, could we have a learning lunch? The third thing I do, I'm talking about how do you increase this potential pathway so that you never come to a finish line? The third thing I do is I maximize my mentoring. I am so indebted to so many people who have mentored me and spoken into my life and helped me. When I think of the hundreds of people, some of them for just a season, some of them, like my good friend Elmer Towns, he's been mentoring me now for 45 years. He's 90. And he's just a beautiful person. But some of them for just maybe a session or 2, some for maybe a decade. But the people that have just helped me, I am where I am today more because of mentoring and people that have poured into my life than anything else. That's why I'm passionate about mentoring. If experience were the best teacher, everybody as they got older would get better because everybody gets experience. I know people getting older and they're not better at all. Evaluated experience. Reflection turns experience into insight. Always has, always will. So you reflect, and then you take action. You take action. Wow. When you go back to your mentor, don't tell them what you learned. Tell them what you did with what you learned. Here's what you said. Here's what I heard. Did I hear it right? Here's what I did. Did I do it right? Could I ask you some more questions? Because the fruit of mentorship is people who listen, learn, and then take action. Action is huge in mentoring.
Hey there, leaders. My name is Stephanie Chung, and I'm super excited to be one of the keynotes at this year's Day to Grow conference, put on by the world famous John Maxwell. Listen, it takes place on March 19th, 2025 in Orlando. And so if you are not planning on being there, I highly encourage you to do so. Listen, we want to make sure that we are pouring out our best to the leaders that are leading in today's day and age, because we know that there's so many challenges that leaders have to face. And we want to be there to support you, to encourage you, and to develop you, because you have been called for such a time as this. But we also know that such a time as this requires a different type of skill set. So we're excited to be able to see you. I'm personally excited to see you because I'm going to be speaking on how you are the change. You're the differentiator, not your company, not the culture, it's you. You're the differentiator. And so come on, come ready, prepared to hear some things you've never heard before, to learn some things you've never learned before, and more importantly, to put some things in practice as soon as you walk out of there, because you have been called for such a time as this. Looking forward to seeing you on March 19th. Day to Grow. John Maxwell. Be there.
0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
Real good.
The winner of this year's Heisman Trophy.
A unique athlete. He is an outspoken Christian.
Story of former NFL quarterback and now minor league baseball player.
Someone who truly is changing the world, and that is Tim Tebow.
You have never seen any player in the entire country play as hard as I will play the rest of the season.
Hey, we got 40 minutes for the rest of our life. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Stiff arm got him free. Thomas to the 10. Stanford's going on.
See, I don't believe the mission starts with your job or being qualified. I believe the mission starts with your heart.
Remember him, let my name is forgotten. And he in control, yeah. And he got the soul, got the shows, yeah. Bow down, take a knee, that's what I propose, yeah. Homie, what your manners? No cap. Every nation's anthem, we'll have to kneel to Hosanna on. Lord now, been Lord then. Never waited for endorsement. Never cared about a Forbes list when you got God as your portion.
With what I have been given, with what I have a chance every day to wake up and be my best.
People, they want to follow someone that they see something in them that they want in themselves.
You want to make my day. The demons tremble, darkness moves, come your way. Reign over all, yeah, all to the throne.
I hope my life will be so much more than any championship, any trophy, any award.
There's something powerful about a leader that puts themselves out there. And I just have to encourage some leaders today to go and try something, because great leaders understand that there is an equally great risk in trying something new as there is in doing nothing at all. There is something powerful about a leader that puts themselves out there and just decides to keep it moving. You will make new decisions that everybody doesn't agree with, and people might leave. Keep it moving. You will hire the wrong person sometimes. Keep it moving. You may try and build trust, and somebody might break your trust. Keep it moving. People don't like change, Ryan. I know, but what they won't like even more is irrelevance and mediocrity. And if you don't make change your friend, that's exactly what you will get. And people will complain. Keep it moving. People will criticize you. People will talk about you. That's okay. You are built different. Keep it moving. People will get the wrong idea about you, and you will not have enough time to correct them, because it would require energy that is required for you to keep it moving. It will be lonely. Keep it moving. Global leader, I came to tell you, keep it moving, because one day you will wake up and realize you're a lot further than you used to be, because you were willing to fail things most people are too afraid to even try.
If I'm gonna do something, I'm putting my soul into it. If I'm going to my kid's soccer game, I'm gonna be where my feet are, and I'm gonna pour my soul into that. Customers feel soul. You can't outsource soul.
One of the most interesting people I have ever met in my life.
Turned his failed career as a rapper into a successful company writing theme songs for sports franchises.
He co-founded Marquis Jet, the world's largest private jet card company.
He ends up selling that to Berkshire Hathaway, started a water company that he sold to Coca-Cola.
New York Times best-selling author of Living with a Seal.
Itzer lives a life in the fast lane, climbing Mount Washington and running a 100-mile race. That's 100 miles.
Jesse is also a co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks. He's married to Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. This is the guy who travels with his own DJ and lives life with style and passion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jesse Itzler.
Good afternoon, everybody. Our next speaker was recognized by Oprah.
First African-American president of a private aviation company. Please help me welcome Stephanie Chung.
If you were in an aircraft flying from California to New York and you were 1 degree off and you didn't self-correct, you would miss LaGuardia by 40 miles. So now, leaders, let's act like we're all pilots for a second. All good pilots are paying attention to make sure that they're still on course. Now, the good news is that we can get this back on course. Matter of fact, we can build a better course altogether. Are you prepared to chart your course and become the leader that people need?
Come and see us on Day to Grow. I will promise you this. You come and bring your team, and at the end of the day, you'll come up and shake my hand and say, one of the best days I've ever invested in for myself and for my team. I'll see you there.
When our next keynote comes out here, I would need you to stand to your feet. You need to make some noise, okay? This is the brother from another mother. He is a coach, a speaker, a best-selling author of Chasing Failure and Leveling Up. Yes. Would you please grow today, or Day to Grow, welcome Mr. Ryan League. Woo! Make some noise!
Day to Grow, what's good? It is so good to see you. You can be seated. That was very kind of you to stand. I hope that you have been growing today. I hope that you've been learning a lot today. We are getting ready to go on a little bit of a journey of what we call chasing failure, which on the onset is like, why in the world would we want to move towards the thing that we often fear? But here's what I've discovered. Now, every single person you look up to, read about, admire, they've all experienced the same thing. They all have the same thing in common. They have all failed, yet we've all been told to steer away from the very thing that made them who they are. In fact, I believe we were all told growing up, failure is not an option. But just touch some sky if you've ever failed. Just raise your hand, okay? Hey, it's an option. Okay, just look around. And I believe for us to grow as leaders, you and I have to have a healthy relationship with failure. We have to have a healthy relationship with rejection. We have to have a healthy relationship with trying some things that are outside of our comfort zone. And what I want you to know is that the fear of failure is something that you absolutely were not born with. It's actually somewhat unnatural for all of our makeup. Now, you can think about any fear that you've had growing up, whether it's the fear of public speaking, whether it's the fear of spiders or sharks. I can just tell you my biggest fear growing up was the fear of camping, okay? Now, I don't know, do I look like I go camping? Like, you gotta know your lane, you know what I'm saying? I don't know that I'm gonna survive well out there. But it's really not the fear of camping. It's more the fear of bears. If you're not afraid of bears, I don't know why you're not afraid of bears. But I'll never forget going to Nashville to speak one day, and I walk into this hotel, and all of a sudden, I see this sign in the hotel lobby. Don't feed the bears. I looked at this lady, I said, oh, what's going on? Why is this sign here? Why do you need to tell me? I don't need this information. I just want to know why the sign is in here inside the lobby. She said, well, sometimes the bears walk up and people try and feed them. Ma'am, do I look like I would try to feed a bear today? Like, what is going on? She said, if you see a bear, just call me. Ma'am, no offense, you 5'2". If I got to put my money on you or the bear, I'm taking my money on the bear. We all gonna die today, okay? Like, I have a healthy fear of bears. Hey, here's the deal. Regardless of what your biggest fear is, did you know we were only born with two? We were born with the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. That's it. Any other fear that you and I have was caught or taught. We had a moment in our life where we said, you know what, somebody just rejected me. Somebody told me no, and it just didn't feel good. And I just got to tell you, the number one fear that will hold you back in your business, the number one fear that will hold you back in your life is the fear of failure. So today we're going to go to failure school. I believe failure teaches a class that success never could. Today I'm going to give us 6 lessons I've learned from chasing failure. Lesson number 1 is this. There's no version of our leadership that isn't risky. There's no version of our leadership that isn't risky. Some of us think, no, I'm just going to play it safe. But when you play it safe, you risk just as much as playing it risky. It's all risky. I love what Craig Rochelle says. He says it like this. He says, failure is the tuition you pay for success. It's how you even get in the door. And leaders risk failure when trying something new, but they also risk irrelevance when they don't. And so what you got to know is I talk to leaders all the time in our executive coaching practices like, Ryan, like we've had success going this direction for a very, very long time, and we just don't want to change. But guess what? The world changed. And if you don't, you will become irrelevant. I talk to parents about this all the time because they just think that the way that their kids are educated is just the way that all kids should be educated. I'm like, man, it's all risky. And I talk to the first group of parents and they say, Ryan, I'm sick of this education system. I'm going to homeschool my kid. That's cool. But have you ever met a homeschool kid? It's risky. I'm just saying, okay? Like, what the risk is that they could grow up socially awkward. I'm not saying that they are socially awkward, and if you were homeschooled, I'm not even saying you are socially awkward. I'm saying your parents rolled the dice. That's all I'm saying, okay? It was a risk, okay? And then you talk to the next parents, and they go, huh, Ryan, put our kids in private school. That's cool. You ever met a private school kid? Listen. The risk is that they grow up entitled. Here's the deal. Like, I went to a private school, but there is a risk that they could grow up thinking that they just going to be balling out of control their whole life, and then they have to get a real job, and they find out that the world is different than what they thought. So I'm just saying it's risky. And then you talk to the parents and say, Ryan, we good with the public school. You ever met a public school kid? They going to jail. It's all risky, okay? It's all risky. Like, some of us just think that our way is the way. No, it's our way. So there's somebody that might be doing something that you've never done before. You go, man, I'm just not sure it's going to work. Well, guess what? Somebody had to be brave enough to try it. Now, here's the deal. Naturally, I'm a risk taker. One of the biggest risks I ever took was when I asked my girlfriend to marry me. Now, this is a picture of my wife. I know what you all are thinking. How in the world did he get her? Let me explain. When my girlfriend and I were dating, I overheard her tell a friend that she thought it would be cool to get engaged and married on the same day. I had absolutely no idea what that meant, so I guessed and began planning our wedding behind her back over the course of 2 years. Now, I was in 11 weddings before I was ever in my own. Apparently, I was a good friend in college because people I barely knew were asking me to be in their wedding, okay? Nevertheless, at each wedding, I would bring my girlfriend and I would take copious notes on what she liked and didn't like trying to put this wedding together. The 11th wedding was 3 weeks before this surprise engagement and wedding that I had planned, and the groom walks up to me and he says, "Hey, I hear you're doing a surprise wedding." I said, "Keep your voice down. It's a surprise, brother." And then he says, "Hey, man, whatever you do, don't mess up the cake." I said, "Man, it's just cake, man. You tripping." He's like, No. Trust me. Do not mess up the cake." I said, "Hey, Bayo, what you think about this cake?" She goes, "It's all right. I got a better one on Pinterest." I didn't know what Pinterest was. So I go to Pinterest, and I type in my girlfriend's name at the time, and all of a sudden, a board pops up entitled My Dream Wedding, and it had 224 photos of everything that she would want in a wedding. And I thought to myself, this would have been helpful 2 years ago. Nevertheless, June 7, 2013, I get down on one knee. I say, "Amanda, will you marry me?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Just kidding. Will you marry me today?" And we opened up a lounge room door, and about 85 of our family and friends were standing in there with a sign that said, "Today." We rolled in a dress, hairstylist, makeup artist, everything that you would need to get engaged and married on the same day. We were engaged for a real long time, a solid 11 hours, okay? Had a buddy film the whole thing. We just wanted to show some friends, put it up on this website called YouTube, and it went viral. It got about 1.5 million views. It's called The Surprise Wedding. And so when people watch The Surprise Wedding, the number one question people ask me is, what if she said no? Which is a really great question when you've got a wedding on the heels of an engagement. But here's the deal. That's not just the question that I face. That's the question that anybody trying to do anything brave faces every single day. It's not what if she said no, it's what if they say no? What if my team doesn't like it? What if our customers don't like it? And you can spend so much energy thinking about this question. And what I want you to know today as a leader is the same amount of energy that you spend thinking about this question is the same amount of energy you could spend thinking about this one. What if they say yes? What if it goes well? There is something powerful about a leader that envisions themselves winning that leads them to actually winning. So here's the deal. There's no version of your leadership that isn't risky. If you try it, it's risky. If you don't try it, it's also risky. So you might as well be the kind of leader that exuberates bravery, and at least a team that is following you says, you know what? I'll walk through a wall with them because they're not afraid to try things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But every single time, you can learn something. The second lesson that I've learned from chasing failure is understanding why people fail gives us a strategy to experience it less. I want to encourage you to chase failure. I do not want to encourage you to chase foolishness. There are two types of failures you can learn from. You can learn from your failures, or you can learn from other people's failures. I prefer your failures over mine, okay? Like, yes, you went down there and started playing with bears and it didn't go well for you, that's on you. I'm going this way, okay? Here's the deal. Thousands, millions of people have failed for decades and centuries. We should be learning from every single one of them. And when you look at the research, the reason people fail is not because they have bad ideas. People fail because they have poor planning. People also fail because they have poor execution. People also fail because they have poor people skills. Sometimes it's not that they don't like your idea. Sometimes it's that they don't like you. Isn't it amazing who we'll do business with because of the relationship? Even if they don't even have the best product, it's amazing who we'll buy from when we trust them and there's some relational equity there. Another reason that people fail is because of poor habits. James Clear talked about this earlier. And what we must know about the best leaders in the world is that 1%er goals require 1%er habits. Now, I got a lot of friends in my life that have 1%er goals and 99 percentile work ethic and habits. I got friends that want to be multimillionaires and want to sleep in at the same time. I'm like, hey, them two typically don't go hand in hand, but maybe you're a unicorn. Maybe you're different. I don't know. But at some point, you got to look at your goals on this day to grow and begin to ask, do my habits match my goals? You want to consider the areas other leaders have failed and don't let history repeat itself. You should not fail the same way twice. If you fail the same way twice, you aren't paying attention. You should be taking copious notes on your failures and other people's failures and going, okay, I want to make sure that my failures are brand spanking new. So whenever I think about other leaders that have failed in an area, I think, man, what didn't they do well that I want to make sure that I do well? Number one, listening. Because every leader's temptation is to go, look at me, listen to me. But I got to tell you, if you want to be a next level leader, you will gain more relational equity by being interested than trying to be interesting. When you begin to think about the meetings that you lead, ask yourself, who's the most important person in the room? Who's the most important person? Who's the person that I want to go, you know what? I want to make sure that other people feel valued at a very, very high level. This is what most leaders fail to do. Another thing that I've seen leaders fail to do is take the stairs. I'll never forget, I was speaking at an event in Cancun, and this guy walks up to me. I was getting ready to get on the elevator to go up. I didn't know how many flights of stairs I was going up or how many levels I was going to be going up on this elevator. And he says, hey, can I invite you to take the stairs? I said, no, you cannot. I'm going to take the elevator. And he's like, well, this is what I learned. He goes, most people aren't willing to take the stairs. And so if you really want to stand out, be the kind of person that takes the stairs. Well, I'm pretty competitive. I'm like, well, I'm taking the stairs then. You ain't said nothing but words to me. Like, come on, let's take the stairs. I did not know how many flights of stairs we were going up. But by the time I got to the top, I was like, woo, woo. That was for real. And he goes, and now you're in a category of people that are further than they used to be. Because you were willing to take the stairs. He goes, most people take the easy way up. Don't. This is what most leaders fail to do. Another thing that most leaders fail to do is pick up the trash. I'll never forget working with Chick-fil-A. They have a motto there. It says, leaders pick up the trash. In other words, it's this mindset that says, this is not someone else's responsibility. No, it is my responsibility to model what's happening in my space. And so if I really care about my environment, I want to make sure that I take care of it, and then other people will follow suit. And then I leave Chick-fil-A and go to another event, and we're in a convention center similar to this, and I'm walking with one of the leaders, and they see a piece of trash, and this is what they did. And they kicked it underneath some chairs, and I went, yeah, leaders pick up the trash. This is something that most leaders fail to do, to have an ownership mindset that says, you know what? I am not just delegating. I'm not just telling people what to do. I'm showing people what to do. I want to show people what excellence looks like. I want to show people what punctuality looks like. The third lesson that I think is vitally important to understand about chasing failure is failure loses its punch in community. The reason I love events like this is because sometimes what happens is you get afraid to fail by yourself. But there's something powerful about coming into a room full of courageous leaders that says, hey, you're going to try some things? Okay, then I'm going to try some things. Okay, like, well, we're going to keep each other accountable. And when you fall, I'm going to help you get back up. And if I fall, maybe you can help me get back up. And there's power in community when we say, hey, let's try some things together. Because what happens on a psychological level with failure is whenever we experience it, we begin to get incredibly selfish because we begin to think, how does this failure make me look? But when we try things together, we can go, well, how does this make us look? And if we do some things together, well, if it hurts, well, we can absorb that punch together. And if it goes well, we can share the glory. So what I encourage leaders to do is to foster failure-friendly environments. A failure-friendly environment means I've created an environment for innovation. It means I've created an environment where people have margin for error to try things when I'm not in the room, let me ask you this question. Do you think you are a failure-friendly person? Let me start over. Do you think you are a friendly person? Okay, you can't be a failure-friendly person unless you are a friendly person first. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta have a friendly part first, and then we could go, all right, I want to give you a little bit of space to try some things, because when we talk about chasing failure, I'm not just going to encourage you to take a chance on something new. No, I'm going to encourage you to take a chance on somebody new. It's one thing for technology to fail us, but when another person fails us, when a team member fails us, it just hits different. And so I have to encourage you to be the kind of person that takes chances on people that you would rather give up on. And the reason I believe this message with all of my heart is because the only reason I am on this stage right now is because a bunch of people gave me chances that I did not deserve. Anytime I get a speaking engagement, I always love to share my breadcrumb slide. I always love to share how I got in the room. I grew up in a lower income neighborhood, and my parents scraped together every dollar they could to get us into a private school so we could grow up entitled. Nevertheless, unfortunately, my father, when I was in the 5th grade, suffered a stroke. Our household income was cut in half, and so we were getting ready to enter into the public school system to get ready for prison. Nevertheless, there was a freshman English teacher at that private school named Mrs. Holstead, and she said, "Hey, Mrs. Leak, we see so much potential in your boys. So me and my husband have decided to cover their tuition to remain in this school." I'll never forget their generosity. Well, because of Mrs. Holstead, I was able to meet my college basketball coach named Cedric Jones. Cedric Jones then introduces me to the VP of admissions named Nate Roosh. And then he introduces me to my first boss named Justin Lathrop. While I was working for Justin, a guy named James walks in my office and we become best friends. And then he goes and does an internship for one of John Maxwell's companies, working with a conference called Catalyst. And at Catalyst, I get introduced to a guy named Chad Johnson. And then Chad Johnson's like, "Hey man, I don't know if you're ready for Day to Grow, but maybe you're ready for Day to Grow, I think." And so he goes, "Hey, John, I think Ryan's ready for Day to Grow." And they go, "All right, well, we'll roll the dice on Ryan." That's how I got in the room, okay? So now, here's what I would love for you to believe. I would love for you to believe that I started from the bottom and now I'm here. It's just not true. I would love for you to believe I'm self-made. It's not true. And the reason you know it's not true is because there's a list of names on the screen that were at the top and reached down to help me come up from the bottom. And so I just want you to consider for just a moment, who took a chance on you? How did you get in the room? Today, call them, email them, DM them, you text them, and you say, "I found myself in a room I never thought I would be in if it wasn't for you." Because here's what I know about you and what I know about me, is at some point in our life, somebody hired us, and the whole time they were doing this. I don't know. This is the only resume we got. Ain't nobody else here today? Whew, welcome to the Maxwell Leadership Team. We're so glad you're here. But they rolled the dice on you anyways. Here's what I know with all of my heart. There is somebody that's got a destination to get to that won't get there unless you take a chance on them. And so be the kind of leader that rolls the dice on people. And you might say, "But Ryan, you don't know my team." You don't know these people, but you might think that they are so unqualified, but guess what? You're so unqualified, okay? At some point in your life, you weren't qualified, but somebody said, "I see their potential." So be the leader that sees potential. In light of who took a chance on you, who do you need to take a chance on? The lesson number 4 that I've learned from chasing failure is that failure loses its grip when you just keep moving forward. There is something powerful about a leader that experiences some rejection, that experiences some setbacks, but finds a way to keep moving forward. Did you know that failure was designed to get you to give up? Stop podcasting. Ain't nobody listening to your podcast. Stop writing. Ain't nobody going to read your book. Come on. It was designed to get you to throw in the towel. Don't throw in the towel. Keep moving forward. I love what James Clear says. He says, every action you take is a vote for the person you wish to become. And so sometimes we have some voices that are just way too loud in our head that are keeping us from moving forward. But every single time you buy that URL for that course idea, you're like, this don't even make no sense. It makes sense because it keeps you moving in the direction of where you want to be. Maybe you change the name later, but here's the deal. You can't change the name of something you never started in the first place. You can't improve that which you refuse to start. And so I just got to encourage you to take a step in the direction of the person you want to be. And now I know some of us, sometimes we're waiting for a New Year's resolution to go to the next level. It's like, oh yeah, man, top of the year, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to get this thing cracking, man, we're going to lose some weight, man, we're going to write this book, and it's like we're waiting for the ideal emotional state to try something new. I got good news and bad news for you. Ideal isn't coming. Ideal isn't coming. Ideal is right here, right now. Not tomorrow, today. Because it's all you got anyways. Tomorrow's not promised for anybody. So there's something you've been thinking about. I got to encourage you to make a move and make it now. Now, as a part of the surprise wedding going viral, my wife and I got to go on a couple of different TV shows. Got to go on Good Morning America. Got to go on the Today Show. Then we got to go on the Queen Latifah show. On the Queen Latifah show, my wife looks at me and she says, hey, Ryan, me and the Queen, we're working on a little surprise for you, so go ahead and check out the screen. On the screen came the late, great Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant says, hey, Ryan. I immediately peed on Queen Latifah's couch. I said, wait just a minute. How does this man know my name? It feels personal. I started breaking down his words like it was a Bible verse. I said, he said, hey. Now, in the Greek, that's a greeting from one American friend to another. He then said, Ryan, well, that's me. Me and Kobe must be friends. I was losing my mind, okay? I don't even know what he said. I blacked out. The only reason I learned what he said is because I watched it on YouTube 1,000 times. Here's what he said. He said, hey, Ryan, heard about this fabulous wedding you pulled off for your bride, and I wanted to return the favor by inviting you out to Los Angeles to come hang out with me and the Lakers. You picked the game, and the invitation has been formally extended to you. I looked at my wife and said, baby, you are winning the game. This is amazing. So I picked the game that was 3 months from the recording of the Queen Latifah show, which meant I had 3 months to prepare to meet Kobe Bryant. Therefore, I began practicing my greeting in the shower. Hey, Kobe, voice too deep. Ryan, voice too deep. You doing too much. You doing too much. Like, man, what do I wear, man? Do I come all purple or all gold? Ryan, it's getting weird. Wear normal clothes, okay? Should I ask him for an autograph? Rookie fan mistake. He should be asking me for my autograph. I'm losing it. I'm like, what's going on? He said, hang out. What does that mean? Coffee before the game? Kobe Bryant not gonna drink no latte before no NBA game? I said, maybe we go out to eat after the game. I'm a generous guy. If we go out to eat, I'm buying. It's just how I roll. Depending on where we going, okay? Kobe go to one of them places where there ain't no prices on the menu, or, you just got to guess at the end of the dinner, like, how much is this? What's this? Like, Kobe, I'll get the appetizers. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? Do I tell him I'm a motivational speaker? Kobe Bryant don't need no motivation. Do I tell him I'm a filmmaker? He lives in Hollywood. Everybody's a filmmaker. I'm just like, I can't figure this thing out. So I said, man, what would allow me and Kobe to have an engaging conversation? And I realized that the only way that Kobe Bryant and I could have an engaging conversation is if I was in the NBA. Now, at this point in time, you are trying to ascertain if I play basketball, if I'm good at basketball. You may even be trying to figure out how tall I am. The number one thing people say to me after I get done speaking is, you look a lot shorter up there than you do in person. I don't know if I look like Kevin Hart up here to you or what's kind of going through your brain, but I am 6'3", and I was an All-American in college at a D3-ish school. Let me explain the ish real quick. So you got NCAA, Division I, your Dukes, your North Carolinas, and then a bunch of schools you've never heard of in Divisions II and Divisions III. However, school I played for is Division III status was pending the years that I played. However, we were in the NCCAA, which stands for National Christian Collegiate Athletics Association, which simply means amongst Christians, I am really good at basketball, okay? Church League MVP is all you need to know about me. Lifetime Fitness ready to go right now. Nevertheless, when I graduated college, I did not pursue the pros. I instantly pursued what I'm doing right now. However, I would go to NBA games, and I would be the guy in the arena like this. I could do that. Man, you got to go let brother shoot that. Like in my mind, I could do their job better than they could. But the difference between me and them was that they had tried and I had not. And so I'm getting ready to meet Kobe Bryant. I said, well, man, it's showtime. So I started getting back in All-American D3-ish Church League MVP shape. I was feeling great. And then a friend of mine was playing for the Chicago Bulls, and he gets cut from the team. Comes back to Dallas, where I now live, and we start working out together. I'm 6'3", 200 pounds. My friend's 6'5", 245, a little bit of a gap in case you're not good at math. Now, we start playing one-on-one about 5 times, and he beats me by a considerable margin every single time. Now, the Chicago Bulls were the worst team in the NBA at the time, so I thought to myself, if the worst team in the NBA cut this brother, the Los Angeles Lakers are not going to give me a shot. Ryan, just go to LA, take a picture like a normal person. Do not embarrass yourself, your wife, your friends. Just go there and go home. But then I found myself doing the thing that sometimes us as leaders are way too good at, and that's talking ourselves out of being brave. Sometimes we have talked ourselves out of an idea before we even bring it to the team or bring it to the table. And I thought, I'm not sure that that's fair for my leadership, and I'm not sure that it's fair for my life. And so that day I started a new documentary called Chasing Failure, where I asked people this question: what would you do if you knew you could not fail? And when I met Kobe Bryant, I said, hey, Mr. Bryant, my name's Ryan Leake. I'm doing a documentary called Chasing Failure, and I'm asking myself the question, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? I think a lot of people are afraid to fail, and I don't think they should be. Like, let's let failure get in the ring, give me its best shot, and I'll give it my best shot. Let's just see what happens. And so, Mr. Bryant, if I knew I couldn't fail, well, I'd be in the NBA. Kobe Bryant was a very focused, intense guy. Like, he's listening to every word, arms crossed. And he just looks at me and he goes, yeah, do it. Do it? Did you just give me the Nike slogan, just do it? What's going on? Like, I know you signed with Nike, but my goodness, like, he's staying on brand, just do it. But I'm just like, man, Kobe, wrong answer, man. You're supposed to tell me how hard it is. Come on, tell me about 4 a.m. workouts. Come on, give me some Malcolm Gladwell type stuff. Come on, give me some 10,000 hours. Like, give me some James Clear habit stuff. Like, give me some John Maxwell irrefutable law stuff. Like, give me something. But it's like, nah, he just stuck with the Nike slogan. Just do it. And I'm just like, okay. And then for the record, he asked me for the photo. I said, Kobe, normally I don't do this for everybody, but for you today, I'm going to let it slide just this one time, okay? Don't tell anybody. And then We're in this VIP room at what was then known as Staples Center, and all of a sudden, some Make-A-Wish kids started to make their way into the room. And I thought to myself, am I a Make-A-Wish kid? This is crazy. I said, man, let these kids have their time with Kobe. Kobe, man, it's good to see you, man. He said, hey, Ryan. I said, yes, Mr. Bryant. He said, make sure you send me that documentary. I said, so is this the moment you want to exchange phone numbers, or you want my people to reach out to your people? I ain't had no people at the time, but I had a mom with an email. She'd be happy to send you document. You know, Kobe, we're gonna get that to you. So now that Kobe Bryant is checking his phone every day, waiting for me to email him this documentary, I'd actually figure out how to get an NBA workout. For those of you that don't fully understand the National Basketball Association, allow me to explain. It is the top 400 to 450 basketball players in the entire world. You don't call them, they call you. That's kind of the way it works. You need to go to a real school. They would prefer that you be a little bit taller, a baller, have a girl that you could call her. You get it. So they're not looking for motivational speakers to kind of boost the morale of the roster on the bench. Like, that's not what they're looking for. So, but nevertheless, I had to figure out how to get an NBA workout. So I did the thing we all do when you don't know what to do, and I Googled it. And here's what I found. I found the public relations emails for every single NBA team, and I just started emailing them one by one. Started with the Boston Celtics. Why them? No idea. Just felt like starting in the northeast corner of the United States of America. And so I said, dear Celtics, you have fans all across the city that are afraid to fail, and I don't think that they should be. In fact, I think that you and I can pull their dreams off the shelf together. Imagine if you believed in this message enough to give a complete stranger an opportunity to work out for your basketball team. I'll probably fail, but what if I don't? There's only one way for you and I to find out, and that's for you to let me try. I am 6'3", 200 pounds, and looking for failure. Sincerely, Ryan Leak. Okay, and like I hit send and pretended like it didn't happen. It felt a little illegal, but I did not put my email on the internet. They did. Nevertheless, 30 minutes later, the Celtics write back, and they said, Ryan, it's a great story. It's just not for us. Best of luck in your future endeavors. I thought, really? This is why people don't try stuff. This is the very reason people don't put themselves out there, because rejection does not feel good. Ryan, this idea is so dumb. They won't let you fail at failing. Think about that for a second. Like, this is crazy. But then I thought, did the Boston Celtics just email me back? This is awesome. I'm going to do a documentary about being told no by all 30 NBA teams, and it's going to be awesome. And here's what I learned on the journey. You're only failing if you're failing to learn. Because these NBA teams weren't giving me rejection. They were actually giving me NBA language that I did not have before. So every rejection, I would begin changing my language for a new pitch. I love how John Maxwell puts it. He says, the more you do, the more you fail. And the more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you get. And every single one of us is in the building today to get better. And so sometimes what you have to do when it's not working is you have to take notes on what's not working. And so I keep changing my pitch for these different teams, and the 5th email goes out to the Phoenix Suns on a Friday afternoon. All of a sudden, I get a phone call with an Arizona area code. I said, hello. I said, hey, Ryan, this is Julie with the Phoenix Suns. Hey, Julie, what's up? She said, hey, we got your email, and we love this idea. Come on Monday. I said, you mean like this Monday? She said, yeah, bring your camera crew. I said, camera crew. Yeah, for sure. Me and my camera crew will be there on Monday. I ain't had no camera crew. I had a homie from the church named Chuck. I said, hey, man, let me holler at you for a second. I know we ain't talked in a little bit. We got to go, like right now. He's like, for what? I go, I will explain to you the situation at the airport, okay? We don't have time. We get to the airport Sunday afternoon. Me and Chuck are on 2 different flights. And you know how travel goes. Phoenix has their largest storm in Phoenix history. Every flight out of Dallas is canceled except Chuck's. So I get in this really long line, and I'm listening to all of them give their pitch on why they got to be in Phoenix in the morning, and this gate agent told all of them no, and I'm learning from every single one of their failures. I'm like, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. And all of a sudden, it's my turn. I say, hey, ma'am, listen, I'm not any better than anybody in this term. However, I absolutely must be in Phoenix in the morning. She goes, why do you need to be in Phoenix in the morning? I said, man, if we could just turn down that attitude just a little bit, that would be so helpful today. And then I had to cross her airspace a little bit. You know, there's a little county, you just got to get in the airspace just a little bit. I said, ma'am, I'm not trying to put my business out here for everybody. But in the morning, this is exactly what I said. I said, I am trying out for the Phoenix Suns in the morning. This is what she said. She goes, you play for the Phoenix Suns? Ma'am, you heard what you heard. I said what I said. I cannot be in charge of your ears and my mouth at the same time. I got a lot going on right now. You asking a lot of me, and I don't appreciate this pressure. And listen, she gave me somebody's seat on that plane. I don't know who is in Dallas trying to get to Phoenix right now, but that is not my problem. Listen, this is what you get to do. You get to go to RyanLeak.com, and you can watch a couple different documentaries. You can watch Chasing Failure, which is a 15-minute documentary of a 2-day workout I indeed got with the Phoenix Suns. Spoiler alert, I failed. Just in case you're wondering, how did it go? You know, there is no camp in the world to prepare you for the on-ramp from Lifetime Fitness to an NBA practice court in a weekend, okay? So, if you were there, or if you watched the documentary, I fit in. Yeah, I fit in. Which is somewhat problematic because in the NBA, everyone stands out in some way, shape, or form. And the other reason that I fit in is because I was sprinting like my life depended on it, and they were jogging, warming up. It looked the same, but it's not the same, okay? And so I get there, and I was told I was just going to have a workout with the head coach. She says, oh, that's cool. Yeah, let's do some drills. I get there, and he says, hey, Ryan, jump in. And the whole team was there. I said, what are they doing here? They said, they work here. I go, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And so, man, I get in and just start doing drills. And the NBA just has some standards around specific drills. For example, they say, hey, take 20 shots. If you take 20 shots, you're wide open. You need to make 18. I was making about 14, 16 per drill. I'm very good, but I am not very NBA. And then they said, hey, we're going to do a conditioning drill. Let's test your conditioning. I said, well, then let's test my conditioning. Let's do it. I thought it was about how many shots I could make in 3 minutes. He said, no. We're going to do a different 3-minute drill. The 3-minute drill is just pure running, pure sprinting. I said, well, what you mean by that? He said, well, Ryan, an NBA court is 94 feet. So you start on one end, you get down as 1, back as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. He said the goal is to get 30 in 3 minutes, which means you have to cover 94 feet in 6 seconds, 30 times. He said, Ryan, would you like to get a drink of water? I said, that's exactly what I need to do right now. Then some little slick coach was like, hey, why don't we put Ryan's score up on the scoreboard? I said, that's unnecessary. I can count just fine. I will tell you how many I got at the end of the 3 minutes, okay? I got an Apple Watch. Boop. All right, I'm good. Clock starts. Boom. I took off running as fast as I possibly could. And one of the players because the entire team stopped doing their drills to watch me run. I'm like, man, why don't y'all get back to work, man? Leave me alone. So I'm running. All of a sudden, one of the players, he goes, woo! Start off way too fast, brother, way too fast. I'm like, oh, so you want to be the motivational speaker now, huh? You want to give out advice mid-drill. You could have said that 2 minutes ago easily, but now you're just going to wait till I'm out here? But I understood exactly what he was talking about 90 seconds in. The 90-second mark, I hit every kind of wall you could think of. Physical, couldn't feel my back, my legs. Emotional, mental, spiritual. I was, Jesus, are you here? I needed all the help the United States of America can offer a human being. Somebody call the police, firefighters, get the EMT in here, National Guard, CIA, get the Navy SEALs in here. Somebody come save my life. I have made a terrible decision. I have decided to film my death on an NBA practice court and invited my friend Chuck to film the whole thing. This is crazy. Chuck, burn the tape. This never happened. We got an alibi. It was a storm, y'all. It was crazy. I didn't even make it. I wish I could, but that'd have been awesome. We're going to lie the rest of our life. We got to get out of here. And all of a sudden, I'm just limping up and down the court because that was all I could do. I'm so embarrassed. And I put my head down because that's what we do when we experience failure. It's what we do when we experience rejection. I'm just got my head down, and I was like, Ryan, this is the dumbest idea you've ever had in your life. Until I looked down more, and I began to notice a logo. Normally, it's a Lifetime Fitness logo. But on this particular Monday afternoon, it's Phoenix Suns logo. And I asked myself this question, Ryan, how in the world did you get here? There's a lot of places you could be on a Monday afternoon. And I realized lesson number 6. Chasing failure took me further than chasing success ever did. Because there's something powerful about a leader that just decides to start emailing crazy people for no reason. And maybe it goes well, maybe it doesn't. But they just decide to keep it moving. And then you might try something, you might hire the wrong person, but you still gotta keep it moving. Somebody might quit on you, and you will be tempted to throw in the towel, but I just gotta encourage you to just keep it moving. You might try some new technology, it might work, it might not, but you will learn. And you just gotta keep it moving. And something happens one day where you wake up and you turn around and you realize, I'm a lot further than I used to be. Now, hindsight's 2020. I used to believe that NBA teams don't give workouts to complete strangers with convincing emails. But what I learned in Phoenix is that sometimes they make an exception. And you'll never know if you're an exception to a rule until you're willing to do something exceptional. The second thing that I've learned in hindsight, now that I work for 5 NBA teams, is that there's more than one way to be in the NBA. They've got all sorts of opportunities to add value to people. But I would never know that if I wasn't willing to send a scary email. So I'm going to ask you one more time. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And I'm going to tell you what Kobe Bryant told me. Just do it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure being with you today.
Hey there, leaders. My name is Stephanie Chung, and I hope to see you at the Day to Grow conference put on by John Maxwell on March 19th in Orlando. Listen, this conference is going to be amazing, and it's amazing because here's what we know for sure. This is an interesting time to be a leader, but if you've been called for such a time as this, we want to do our part to make sure that we're equipping you and developing you and, encouraging you, because we know that leading in today's day and age requires a different type of skill set. And that's what this conference is all about. It's about growing your network and also growing you. Because we know that as leaders, our number one job is to develop other leaders and to make sure that we create environments where our people win. But in order to do that, you yourself have to be winnable. And sometimes that means that you've got to retool, restructure, and add a different dimension into your current knowledge base. And that's what we're going to be doing at this conference. It's all about all of us growing and going up together. And so I expect to see you there on March 19th in Orlando, because you are going to be blessed beyond belief, because we are convinced that you've been called for this season, but we want to do our part to make sure that you are set up to win so you can help your people win as well. See you there, March 19th in Orlando, Day to Grow.
0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
That's real good.
The winner of this year's Heisman Trophy.
And unique athletes. He is an outspoken Christian.
Story of former NFL quarterback and now minor league baseball player.
Someone who truly is changing the world, and that is Tim Tebow.
You've never seen any player in the entire country play as hard as I would play the rest of the season.
Hey, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our life. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Stiffer got him free. Thomas to the 10. Stiffer's going on.
See, I don't believe the mission starts with your job or being qualified. I believe the mission starts with your heart.
Remember him, let my name is forgotten. And he in control, yeah. And he got the soul, got the shows, yeah. Bow down, take a knee, that's what I propose, yeah. Homie, what your manners? No cap. Every nation's anthem, we'll have to kneel to Hosanna on. Lord now, been Lord then. Never waited for endorsement. Never cared about a Forbes list when you got God as your portion.
With what I have been given, with what I have a chance every day to wake up and be my best. People, they want to follow someone that they see something in them that they want in themselves.
You wanna make my day, the demons tremble, darkness moves, come your way, reign over all, yeah, all to the throne.
I hope my life will be so much more than any championship, any trophy, any award.
There's something powerful about a leader that puts themselves out there. And I just have to encourage some leaders today to go and try something, because great leaders understand that there is an equally great risk in trying something new as there is in doing nothing at all. There is something powerful about a leader that puts themselves out there and just decides to keep it moving. You will make new decisions that everybody doesn't agree with, and people might leave. Keep it moving. You will hire the wrong person sometimes. Keep it moving. You may try and build trust, and somebody might break your trust. Keep it moving. People don't like change, Ryan. I know, but what they won't like even more is irrelevance and mediocrity. And if you don't make change your friend, that's exactly what you will get. And people will complain. Keep it moving. People will criticize you. People will talk about you. That's okay. You are built different. Keep it moving. People will get the wrong idea about you, and you will not have enough time to correct them, because it would require energy that is required for you to keep it moving. It will be lonely. Keep it moving. Global leader, I came to tell you, keep it moving, because one day you will wake up and realize you're a lot further than you used to be, because you were willing to fail things most people are too afraid to even try.
If I'm gonna do something, I'm putting my soul into it. If I'm going to my kid's soccer game, I'm gonna be where my feet are, and I'm gonna pour my soul into that. Customers feel soul. You can't outsource soul.
One of the most interesting people I have ever met in my life.
Turned his failed career as a rapper into a successful company writing theme songs for sports franchises.
He co-founded Marquis Jet, the world's largest private jet card company.
He ends up selling that to Berkshire Hathaway, started a water company that he sold to Coca-Cola.
New York Times best-selling author of Living with a Seal.
Itzer lives a life in the fast lane, climbing Mount Washington and running a 100-mile race. That's 100 mile.
Jesse is also a co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks. He's married to Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. This is the guy who travels with his own DJ and lives life with style and passion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jesse Itzler.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Our next speaker was recognized by Oprah.
First African-American president of a private aviation company. Please help me welcome Stephanie Chung.
If you were in an aircraft flying from California to New York and you were 1 degree off and you didn't self-correct, you would miss LaGuardia by 40 miles. So now, leaders, let's act like we're all pilots for a second.
All good pilots are paying attention to make sure that they're still on course.
Now, the good news is that we can get this back on course. Matter of fact, we can build a better course altogether. Are you prepared to chart your course and become the leader that people need?
Come and see us on Day to Grow. I will promise you this. You come and bring your team, and at the end of the day, you'll come up and shake my hand and say, one of the best days I've ever invested in for myself and for my team. I'll see you there.